Hello, welcome to Cardboard History. Today I want to share with you some things that I recently picked up from an auction, and these aren't necessarily cardboard, but definitely related to some sports history. So with the beginning of the 2024 baseball season, it's been fun to look back at some different points in Cubs history, and I was able to do that through this recent pickup that I got from REA auctions. So I want to share that with you, and I'll turn around the camera and we can take a look together. I have to adjust the background just a little bit because this is bigger than some things I normally show. So this is a 1934 yearbook for the Chicago Cubs. Originally priced at 25 cents. At one point, you may be able to see up in this corner, somebody priced it at $15. This was something that I saw at an REA auction that ended back in March. And it's a little different than the things that I normally pick up. But whenever I'm looking through a catalog or the list of things that are held by auction houses, there's usually a handful of things that are more memorabilia related that catch my eye. And I'll usually throw them in a watch list, and if they go for cheap enough, I'll try to buy them. Usually it's things like signed contracts from 100 years ago that go for crazy amounts, and so this was one item that I just thought was really cool because of the story of history that it told. And I just want to flip through a couple of things in here and show you what is inside. So here you get the copyright date, and it just goes through the complete roster of Chicago Cubs. Got to be somewhat careful here because it is fragile. And on each page there's just a picture and a little bit of a biography as well as record. So this is Charlie Grimm, the manager. There's 4 Hall of Famers that are included in here. At least 4. There may be some more, and I'll get to that in a little bit. First one is Hazen Kyler, better known as Kai Kyler. And I've kind of always wondered, and I've heard it pronounced both ways, of whether it's Kiki Kyler or Kai Kyler. And on here, he gives the account of how he got this nickname. It says, according to his own account, he came by the nickname in this manner. When a fly ball would come sailing towards his territory, one player would usually holler Kai, meaning for him to snare the ball, and then another player would immediately yell Kai too. And so it was no time until the fans had picked it up and he was being called Kai. So this is the story of that unique nickname. Kyler in the Hall of Fame shows some of his career stats here going up to 1934. Next page is another Hall of Famer, Gabby Hartnett, along with Stan Hack. Gabby has another nickname that he received because he was just known for continually talking. He was a catcher, and he had a boundless amount of energy. The story starts out that whenever he would call from home plate, that the outfielders would have to cover their ears because of the volume of his booming voice. It also says that as a storyteller, he was second to none. So that's a little bit more about this Hall of Fame catcher, Gabby Hartnett. And then the next page features the 2 Hermans, Babe Herman and Bill Herman. Bill is in the Hall of Fame, and this account biography is from early in his playing days. He was a rookie in 31, and this is 34, so he's played 3 seasons, and talks about how he's really an up-and-coming second baseman and looks to be one of the best second basemen in either league in the upcoming year. And certainly he gained quite a reputation that eventually led to him being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Then the final Hall of Famer is Chuck Klein, who was purchased in the offseason leading up to 1934 from Philadelphia. And a large part of the beginning of this biography talks about how badly William Wrigley Jr. wanted to get Klein into a uniform, and at one point even offered $250,000 cash for his services. Eventually, he was traded for and had just an amazing career that eventually led to the Hall of Fame. So those are the 4 Hall of Famers. Some other players, Pat Malone and Lynn Nelson. Then the center is this amazing team photo. This is from Catalina Island, from where they did spring training in 1934. And here's a little bit of a larger team than what you typically see in a team photo. I haven't been able to identify all the players in here, so if anybody happens to know if there's any other Hall of Famers shown in here. I saw one remark that mentioned something about Grover Cleveland Alexander being in this picture. There's a couple of individuals who look like they could possibly be Old Pete, but not exactly sure. Another thing interesting about Catalina Island and the Cubs spring training, the island was bought by the Wrigley family, and they constructed a field that matched the exact dimensions of Wrigley for practice, somewhat similar to now what you get at Sloan Park in Arizona. 3 years after this photo, in spring training of 1937, a broadcaster tagged along with the Cubs by the name of Ronald Reagan. He would broadcast for a radio station out of Iowa, and they would get accounts from Wrigley Field of the game via telegram, and then he would recount the game over the radio and do it with such effectiveness that people often thought that he was actually at Wrigley Field calling the games. He tells a funny story about one time when the line went down, and rather than just have dead airtime, he recalled an at-bat from between, I think it was Augie Bush and Dizzy Dean, that had some 11 to 13 foul balls, even though in real life he popped out on the first pitch. But in order to fill time, Reagan just ad-libbed with a bunch of foul balls and made it seem like a very competitive at-bat. Reagan traveled with the team in 37, and it was while at spring training that he did a screen test and was, I guess, discovered out in Hollywood and transitioned from radio broadcast to film and movies. So that is kind of part of Ronald Reagan's history with the Chicago Cubs. If we go through the rest of these, you get Riggs Stephenson, Charlie Root, Bernie Tate, Bud Tinning. The Cubs in 34 finished in 3rd place in the National League. And Augie Gallen, he is the player that was in the at-bat against Dizzy Dean that Ronald Reagan ad-libbed. And just a few more. Merrill Joyner, Bill Lee, Bill Siebold, and Babe Phelps. And then it also has the executives, coaches, trainers listed here. There's Philip Wrigley. And one interesting thing, Margaret Donahue, pictured here, she was one of the few women at this time to hold an executive position with a Major League Baseball club. She was the secretary. She started out as the stenographer, and then eventually in 1927 became the position of secretary. So a position even that was held at the time mostly by men. So she was one of the few women in baseball. And then you get the schedule where you could fill out the score and the pitchers and all the information. And then the last page here is a great shot of Wrigley Field. And you may notice the outfield looks a little different. This picture was from 1934, and in 1937 they added the iconic ivy to that outfield wall, which you can see here. So, but beyond that, a lot of this still looks very similar today. Here's the back cover. One interesting thing that really kind of drew me to this at the auction was that it was not just this yearbook that was included in the auction, but it was somewhat hidden in the listing that there was also a set of team photographs. So this is the cover that the team photographs came in. And the listing listed the photographs as being from 41, 42, and 43. I'm not sure how they identified some of the pictures as being from 41 and 42, because the players used the same photo year after year. And being in 1943, this is World War II, so the league was decimated by all the players that were not playing but were fighting. And so there's only one picture in here that contains a Hall of Famer, and we'll get to that here shortly, but just want to kind of go through a few of these. They're just fantastic photographs of the team. So I think these are all from, this is the photo pack from 1943. There's 25 total pictures, and that's how many came in the photo pack. I haven't been able to find a checklist for 1943. There's checklists for 41, 42, and 44. Here's Stan Hack. Even though they're in black and white, I just think the quality of the photo and being so close is just really amazing. Bill Lee, Clyde McCullough, Bill Nicholson, Lou Novkoff, Claude Passot, some of these are a little hard to tell from the signature. I'd have to look it up and see. Now these next two, a little bit of interesting story between Hy Bithorn and Chico Hernandez. These two in 1943 became only the third Latino battery, pitcher and catcher, in Major League history, and the first since Dolph Luca and Manuel Cueto in 1918. So when these two took the battery together in 1943, it had been 25 years since there was an all-Latino battery in the Major League. And so they kind of were bringing back some of the Latino heritage that was present in the early 1900s. Harry Lowry. All right, this next picture is the coaches, and this contains two Hall of Famers. Kai Kyler here, and then Dick Spalding. No relation to Al Spalding, and he's not in the Baseball Hall of Fame. He is actually in the U.S. Soccer Hall of Fame. Dick Spalding played on the first two games for the U.S. men's national team that ever existed. And so he was both an outstanding baseball and soccer player, and was eventually elected into the Soccer Hall of Fame. But here he is as a coach for the Chicago Cubs. So these are the only two Hall of Famers, one baseball, one soccer Hall of Famer, that are in this picture pack, which really shows, compared to the four Hall of Famers in 34, how devastated the team and the league was by the war effort. So if you're still watching along, thank you for taking time. This is just a really interesting piece, especially with these photos of things that are 80 to 90 years old and have survived. And it's just a great piece of history. Here's Eddie Stanky. This is his rookie year, first year with the Cubs in 1943. Lou Warnicki and Hank. Well, thank you for taking time to watch. I really appreciate those of you that have subscribed, and hope to come with some more content from other items that I've picked up recently, working on a few other videos that I hope to bring to you shortly. Until then, I hope you all have a great day, and thank you for watching Cardboard History.